Hello Ableton producers and musicians, I'm back with another video and another device to share with you all. This one I think is unique in that it's not just my take on an effect or instrument that already exists. It's kind of its own thing. And I've been going over this video in my head, trying to figure out the best way to describe what it does. And what I've actually just recently come up with is that it's basically an arpeggiator, but for audio rather than MIDI. So I'm going to walk you through it. We've got a looper over here that records your loop into, well, 4 more loopers. But each one of these loopers has controls for the playback speed. So here's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then we have speed controls down below. So 1x is regular speed, 2x is double speed, 0.5 is half speed, and then we can go -2. -1 is reverse. -2 would be reverse, but at double speed, etc. One thing I forgot to mention about the speed control is that there's actually 2 ways you can enter a number manually, like so, and then there's also some kind of preset values here, which have been designed to be musical intervals, which work well. So you can just turn through here if you like, or of course you can enter it by hand. And so I've organized these 4 loopers into 2 groups. One group is here, and one group is here. And each of these groups has some logic about which loop will be playing at any given time. So we've got a speed control here, and then we have a chance control here. So if you imagine that this one is set to 8 notes, it's basically got a pulse going. Every 8th note it's saying, should I switch? Should I switch? And that switch is dictated by the chance dial. So if it's at 100%, it's going to switch to the other loop every 8th note. If it's at 50%, it'll do it half the time, etc. And then we've got a smooth control down here just to control how abrupt the switch is. At 0, it's instant, and you may hear some clicks. Turning it up to 20, I find, is a sweet spot where it adds a nice little ramp to hopefully smooth those clicks. And then we've got some processing that happens after these 4 loopers, and then I'll get to this Explore tab later, which I think it's very interesting. So I think it's best for me to just jump in and show you by recording something, and I find that the effect works best, or easiest to describe at least, with monophonic audio. With chords it can get a bit crazy. Of course, sometimes we do want crazy, but for the demo, we'll just use a monophonic sine melody. And there's a through control down here, so you can hear what's coming into the looper, or not if you wish. There's a buffer size here, we'll set to 4 bars, and then there's a quantize, so it'll wait till the next bar to start recording. So we'll just play the loop as is, and then we will press record and grab it. And we can see it recording here. Okay, we've got it, and then we'll turn off through, so we hear nothing because nothing is playing, but we will now press play. So right now we're just hearing the bass loop. We can turn this down and we won't hear it, but we want to hear the bass loop for now. We can also reverse it if we like. But this is where we get into the interesting part of the device. So right now the chance is set to 0, so nothing is happening. But as soon as I turn up the chance, you can see based on these 2 visual indicators which track is playing. And as you can see, it's switching every 8th depending on the chance. And then we can of course bring in the other 2 loopers. And we can filter things a little bit. And we can mess around with the bass loop entirely and just have the arpeggiated part. So that's the idea. I think it's an interesting way to think about audio. I mean, with with MIDI, it's easy to arpeggiate something, but with audio, it's not so easy. And I think you can find some very interesting sounds. And so one other thing to mention is there is this Explorer panel over here, and it has presets, it has 16 presets, and each one of these is just storing different speed parameters. So we can switch between them here. And as you can see, if you go really high on the speed, you get some real crazy glitchy stuff. Sometimes it sounds bird-like. A lot of potential for interesting sound design. But one thing that I think is very fun is that the seek knob will interpolate between these preset positions smoothly. So we can drag the seek knob and just explore the various presets we have. Pretty fun. Another thing to mention, I'll stop this for a sec, is that you can store your own presets. So you can go and make some adjustments here and say 4 and -1 and 1.5, or let's say 1.4028. You can store your own preset by holding down Shift and clicking one of these little squares. So if we go away and come back, that one is now saved. There is one thing about this that you have to know, just the way Max for Live works. We're storing these presets not within this patch itself, but within a separate file called a JSON file. So the patch does come with that file. And if you don't want to store your own presets, you'll never have to deal with this. But just so you know, so you're not surprised, when you remove this device or when you close Ableton, you will see this pop up that says, where do you want to save the new preset file? And the easiest way to do it is just to save it exactly where the plugin already is, and it'll say, do you want to replace it? Yes. And that's it. So that's Prismatica. I think it's unique. I think it's interesting, and I'm quite excited to see what all you lovely, talented musician folks will do with it, because I think I probably just scratched the surface of its potential. I've been playing around with vocal loops. Another interesting one is drums. Yeah, so that's Prismatica. It's something different, and I really hope you find some value in it. I appreciate you all for watching this far in the video. As I've said in the past, I truly appreciate you for letting me do this, letting me make devices, share them with you, letting me pay my rent by doing this and be home with my sweet little family. I appreciate you, and I hope you had a great winter holiday, whatever you celebrate. I'll also mention that while I still have a Gumroad shop, I've had a lot of people asking me if there's a way they can buy my devices with PayPal, and now there is. I set up a Ko-fi shop, and it's similar to Gumroad, but they actually charge less fees, so I actually get more of the sale, and they also take PayPal. So if that's something you've been looking for, now there's a way. There will be a link down below. Thank you again all for your time. I appreciate you. I hope you have a lovely day, and peace.